SBR Videos is sponsored by Sports Cash System. Click on the link below for more information. Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's a Friday afternoon, the Friday before Week 15 in the NFL, so that means we're doing our regular line moves show with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com, where we take a look at where the current lines are, how they've moved, how they might move by kickoff, and again, we're looking ahead to Week 15 in the NFL. Joe, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, Peter. Let's have another great week in the NFL.
Okay, sounds good. And if anyone doubts your expertise when it comes to NFL handicapping, in our videos this year, you are 24-12 against the spread overall in the free picks in these videos. That's very impressive, and I know you have a good record at your site in NFL as well, right?
Yeah, I can promise you no long-term clients of mine doubt my skills in the NFL. Maybe somebody bought 1 week and had a losing week, but no, we've been doing quite well for 26 years. A winning year this year, again, off another winning week. We had to win the Monday night game, which we did to pull off the winning week, and it looks like another winning weekend ahead. We like quite a few games, actually.
The line move show for NFL Week 15, a bunch of moves that are interesting. The first one that's most interesting to me, I think, is that Miami at home against the Pats. You know, the Miami's now pick 'em, and they were a 2 or 2.5 point underdog at home earlier in the week. So I'm assuming that's got to be a big sharp move. That's not the public coming in and fading the Pats, right?
Yep, no question, but I want everybody to go back and watch that video if they didn't watch it already. What did I say? That I thought that there could be some sharp money on Miami for two reasons. Number one, as soon as the media started breaking down how valuable Rob Gronkowski was to New England's offense, he clearly was. New England's offense was starting to really click with him back. Now all of a sudden he's hurt. And what did I say? That, you know, it goes back to a quote that from what I heard from Dan Marino, a guy who played his high school and college football in Pittsburgh and then went to Miami for his entire NFL career. Nobody's more qualified to talk about cold teams going to warm weather cities and vice versa. It's expected to be 85 degrees, according to what I just checked before our airtime. 85 degrees in Miami. That's going to really benefit the home team here. So I think it has to do with the weather report and Gronkowski.
Okay, and then another line that's a little bit interesting. You know, Washington has announced that RG3 will not be playing in their game against Atlanta on the road. Kirk Cousins will be in a quarterback, and maybe in response to that, that line has bumped up now solidly to 7. It was like 6 or 6.5 earlier in the week. I'm thinking, though, that if anything, that move to Cousins will benefit Washington.
Yeah, we talked about that, too. There's no question that the quarterback change is the reason. I know that the public, in fact, I think sharps, too, we're all waiting for RG3 to finally break out. And he had right there in the middle of the year, it looked like he was starting to show some signs. I think it's a Sunday night game. They played the Cowboys. Maybe it was a Monday night game, but a game against Dallas where he really looked like he was finally starting to progress. And then all of a sudden, he started going back downhill. Cousins, he showed last year, this guy is a very competent quarterback. He's probably starting quarterback caliber, but Washington, nothing was going right for Washington. They needed a change. I was debating some friends last night. I think this is the right football move. I don't think it's purely a power play by Mike Shanahan with Daniel Snyder. This was a good football move, so I think the sharps are going to come back on the Washington Redskins.
Okay, and then let's move on to the KC game, right? They're now minus 4.5 at Oakland, up from about 3.5 earlier in the week. And that, I guess that could be both public and sharp action, but I'm assuming it's mostly driven by public action.
Yeah, public action again. The public is almost always going to bet road favorites, especially when you know, you're talking about a quality team like Kansas City. Maybe if it's a not such a good team that's playing like Jacksonville or whatever, they won't necessarily automatically jump on the road favorites. But yeah, Oakland is a team that's been erratic. You know, earlier in the year when they had Pryor as quarterback, it looked like they were a great sharp team. And then when McGloin came in, they had the element of surprise, but they were horrible, you know, in their game against the Jets. And the public, they've got the short-term memory. So I think, you know, the public's seeing that Oakland hasn't been so good lately, and they're a team they want to fade.
All right, and then those were all the specific games I wanted to get your take on. There's a bunch of other games that have had small moves. a run down all those games and just address whichever ones you want. The Bears went from a 1-point underdog to a 1-point favorite at Cleveland. Houston is now solidly +5 at Indianapolis. They were a 6 or 6.5 earlier in the week. Philly's now up to -5 at Minnesota. That's up a bit from earlier in the week. And New Orleans is up to a -6.5 at St. Louis. That's up a point. And Pitt's down to about +1.5 or +2 against Cincinnati. That's down a point. Address any of those games and lines that you have something interesting to say about.
Yeah, well, no, Peter, I think I have ADHD, so I don't know if I can keep track of all of them. But no, St. Louis has some injuries on both sides of the ball. Austin's probably not going to play. Javaris Jenkins on the defensive side of the ball is probably going to be out against New Orleans pass defense. I think that's, some injury and some public money on New Orleans. As far as you mentioned the Chicago Bears, remember, they're making that controversial quarterback change there. Jay Cutler, I think the sharp money is actually going to be on Cleveland there, that McCown is a better quarterback than Jay Cutler. It's just that simple. Cutler's got all the physical gifts, but McCown's been the better quarterback. And based on various quarterback ratings and based on the eye test, I think the Sharps actually like Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't know if the sharp money is going to be on Cleveland. I do know that the Jeff Cadillac money is going to be on Cleveland. And is that sharp money? I mean, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All right, then the other games
I've seen you bust on him in a couple videos. Well, I don't. I'm not going to say anything negative about other handicappers, but I've enjoyed some of your busting on him.
Look, if you serve up a joke to me, I'm going to take a swing at it. All right, it's just I have to take. That's what I do. That's what I do. All right, Houston is the other game I asked you about, and then Pitt. You have anything to say about those games, and Philly also?
Yeah, the Steelers are in a perfect spoiler situation. I wouldn't be surprised if some sharp money comes back on the Steelers. It's one of the games that we talked about here on the SBR video. We keep saying that Cincinnati's a perfectly consistently inconsistent team, and I do think there will be some sharp money coming back on the Pittsburgh Steelers in that game. And what again was the other game that you mentioned?
Philly's up to -5 at Minnesota, and then Houston's now solidly down to +5 at Indianapolis.
Yeah, Minnesota could actually be down to their third-string running back. It now looks like Adrian Peterson, earlier in the week, he was probably going to play. Now he's listed as questionable to doubtful. Toby Gerhardt, his backup, is probably going to play. We would list him more as questionable to probable. But, especially with Adrian Peterson, if he's not going to play, and now it looks like there's less likely that he's going to play now than it did earlier in the week. So that certainly had a lot to do with that line move.
Okay, great call once again, Joe Duffy. Thanks for all the input, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.